Who is paying for teacher admin? This is a hidden cost that often no one calculates, and it's fundamental to a language teaching business. Welcome to the Language Leaders Summit on transforming teacher admin. I think we've spoken to more than 40 language schools around the world for this, and where this has kind of come to a head is bring all this research and helping to share it with you. If you don't know me, my name is Alex Asher. I'm the CEO of LearnCube. We offer the only virtual classroom made exclusively for language teaching. We've delivered over 1 billion minutes of live education. I think well over 6 million actual classes, over 120 countries, and we work with hundreds of language businesses. I also want to introduce you to Wilim. Wilim Abrook is LearnCube's head of education. He comes from a teaching background, so he really understands this inside and out, what it feels like as a teacher, what it feels like being a teacher coordinator, being a manager, leading others, curriculum design. First of all, in the research, like 86% of schools do not pay extra for teacher admin or consider that kind of a separate cost. And teachers can feel that as unpaid work and unvalued work. And it can often include some kind of, in my view, particularly running LearnCube, sort of some unnecessary admin things like even completing manual attendance forms. The iceberg is that kind of perfect analogy. You've got what you see on and actually what most people feel from your service, which is the teaching part. The school could very well be paying the cost of not paying teachers for the admin in the first place because they may not get the quality of information they want, they may not get it on time. So I want to acknowledge that there's some structural aspects of teacher admin that make it hard to get the incentives right. The whole experience matters. I talked about how corporate language training is increasing, and the experience also for one of the biggest customers, right? The HR team or the purchasing manager, those are often the clients. And so we also need teacher admin to fulfill the goals of that customer and client. Teachers, in my experience, and I think Wilim might attest this, they rarely leave because of the students. It's the environment that they have and the experience that they have with the people that hire them or employ them. And so again, your streamlined systems are a big part of that teacher retention aspect. One thing I thought was really fascinating, and it's still something I'm trying to get my head around, but there's this real correlation between the largest language training companies and the automation of teacher admin. One thing I sort of have noticed, particularly through LearnCube and also just through a lot of these interviews, is that what will get you to, for example, and I kind of feel like these are probably somewhat true in terms of their milestones, 150 classes a month, 300 classes a month, 1,000 classes a month, 5,000 or maybe 2,000 classes a month, and 10,000 classes a month. They're all different. That's why a really streamlined teacher admin process starts to become either the thing that helps you get to that next stage or the thing that starts really rattling and holding back your school. One of the things that we talked about in the white paper were 3 design principles: pay for what you need, automate where possible, and unify your systems, or at least integrate your systems so they talk to each other. The second point around automation, for me, that automation can really feel like plumbing. And when it's done well, like everything just flows, there's no leaks, and it just reduces errors, it reduces frustration, and also reduces teacher turnover. Next, we're looking at another framework that Wilim created, this concept of you have layer 1 admin, which is your scheduling class organization. Simply put, if you don't have it, class doesn't happen because it was never scheduled. Surprising number of schools are still putting a lot of that pressure on teachers to do a lot of that scheduling and rescheduling. That can actually be really time consuming. The second one, and this for me, particularly with LearnCube's ability to automate, again, this just feels like a very solved problem, like attendance. Attendance, particularly online, shouldn't really be a manual task. It should be an automated task. It's very, very important. Without it, you can't bill, you can't pay your teachers, and you can't prove that compliance. But the level 3 is that self-actualization component, because it can really make the difference to how you feel as a language company. 3 kind of actions that I'd like to kind of pass with you, and then I'll pass over to Wilim. Map your current state of your teacher admin, really audit it against those different layers. Make sure you've got strong foundations, and then look at that layer 3. Identify some quick wins before you kind of get stuck into the real difficult stuff. So, Wilim, I'll finish here and pass over to you.
My name is Wilim, and I'm an English teacher. So over the years, I've actually worked in a lot of different roles in online schools, teacher coordinator, student coordinator, curriculum designer. And now in my current role as head of education for LearnCube, I speak with literally hundreds of schools and teachers to understand their administrative and operational needs. What I really wanted to see from it was, how the data would either support or challenge what I already knew or what I already thought I knew. And like Alex, I was quite surprised, just how disjointed or how unautomated a lot of the very basic processes like attendance and scheduling are. But I'm particularly interested in looking at these admin tasks and structures that we identified from a different perspective. Many freelance teachers, you might rely on lighter, more independent admin routines. A smaller, more centralized school might have closer oversight and coordination. So these factors, school size, staffing model, methodology, they're all going to shape and constrain your administrative needs and resources. And that brings us back to that bureaucratic versus reflective admin. So within whatever time and structural constraints your school operates, the goal should be to redirect our teachers' energy towards reflective tasks that contribute to learning outcomes as much as possible. If we protect teachers' time and avoid unnecessary interruptions, we reduce that cognitive load, and the quality of their reflective admin is naturally going to improve. But it's also about fairness and perception. The goal isn't just to reduce time or cost, it's to create a structure that enhances learning, supports motivation, and sustains satisfaction for both teachers and then for students. So all of these elements feed into one another. If we think of a school as a living organism, then a well-designed, thoughtful admin system functions like a healthy, balanced diet, right? It keeps every part of the system nourished and functioning at its best. Administrative work isn't just record keeping for record keeping's sake. It can actually be the backbone of your school. Think about it like, why do we do all this work? If every class record, attendance check, and lesson note contributes to a continuous picture of learning, then that work is valuable. So good admin isn't about how little time it takes, it's about how effectively that time serves learning and operational goals. These days, particularly, over the past few years, we've heard a lot about how, automate everything, streamline systems, transform education. I do kind of believe that, but the reality is that most schools still struggle to maintain clean, consistent, reliable data systems. So without that foundation, AI is no good to you. The real opportunity right now isn't about deploying artificial intelligence everywhere we can. It's about building human-centered systems that support teachers and learners, creating reliable, integrated systems that capture good, consistent data and support, teacher cognition and motivation. And once that foundation is in place, then AI can become genuinely useful. But until then, human intelligence, thoughtfully designed systems, this is going to deliver the biggest gains.
From LearnCube, and we're going to provide a small kind of outline of some of the ways that LearnCube tries to streamline and solve some of these operations.
LearnCube's online school is it's an all-in-one platform for teaching online. We also have an API option, so if you have your existing platform, you can kind of plug our things into yours. Just the fact of having a dedicated tool that's designed for what they need, is going to make that easier and more streamlined. Post-class summaries and reporting. This is the stuff I get really excited about. Everything's in one place, but actually the power of having it all in one is that all of the different pieces are speaking to each other.
You can just turn up to a class, you reload it, and you just keep on going with that student. And it just feels that effortless experience. But if you also do want to end up chatting with us, you can just use this little QR code and arrange a time to meet with Wilim.